Thank you all again for joining us. Thanks for staying. My name's Chris Lippincott, and I am very excited to continue to serve in the role as Executive Director for TEXRail Advocates. And I'm particularly excited as a Metroplex native now living in Austin in central Austin. I live a 10-minute walk from the Austin Capital Metro Red Line, their Crestview station. So I'm particularly excited to have a conversation about the role of rail as we build out our transit networks in the communities and our growing communities across the state. So we're going to have a conversation about urban and suburban rail and ask how we're doing, if we're on the right track or the wrong track. As Peter pointed out, the longer biographies for all of our speakers are available on our website and in some of our materials. First today, we'll hear from Paul Ballard, who's the President and CEO of the Fort Worth Transportation Authority. Second, we'll hear from Eddie Miranda, who's the VP for Government Affairs of Houston Metro. And our third speaker is Tim McKay, who's the Executive Vice President for Growth and Regional Development at DART, Dallas Area Rapid Transit. So it's a great group here to tell us about some exciting projects and their perspectives, both from a project perspective but also from a policy perspective, and how we integrate rail into the safe and reliable movement of folks around our community. So without any further ado, Paul.
Well, good afternoon. Thank you very much for the invitation to be here today. I'd like to begin by acknowledging a couple of folks. One of my board members at the Fort Worth Transportation Authority is here. Dennis Duncans is down front. And like me, Dennis started his career in the railroad industry on both the Texas Pacific and then the Santa Fe. He then switched to education and is now a retired educator and looks younger every time I see him. I started also at a young age as a brakeman in freight service and a trainman in passenger service. So I stayed with the business, and I'm still hanging in there, and I enjoy the work and always have. But Laura Hanna is also with us today from our communications department. And my son, Chris Ballard, is visiting from Asheville, North Carolina. It's his first visit to Texas, and he said, "You know, Dad, this is a really cold state." And I said, no, he's just been here since Monday. So I said, no, you got to come back in July, and it's a little bit warmer. So I'm going to have him come back in July. And also I want to acknowledge the many consultants, engineers, and others who have worked on and supported the TEXRail project for many, many years. We are at the point where you will see that we really have some significant progress underway. And after my opening remarks, I'm mostly going to show you some pictures today because we're very, very proud of all the work that's being done out there, and I'll show you the train that we've purchased. And so this is hopefully a fun presentation for you. But first, just a little background on the Fort Worth Transportation Authority. We're a fairly small system as things go and as the presentations you've seen today. The Trinity Railway Express, which we own half of with DART and have a fantastic partnership with them, makes up a quarter of our overall ridership at the Fort Worth Transportation Authority. So our buses, about 20,000 people a day. We have tremendous room for improvement. We have a small operating budget of about $70 million, but we're working on that. We developed a master plan for the expansion of service throughout Tarrant County. This would be expanded buses, fixed guideway, and it's a great plan, but we do struggle to find the financial support for it. And I know that's not uncommon for a lot of us who are struggling to build public transportation and rail services. But we struggle. We have some support. We need more leadership. We need more support. We generate most of our income from a half cent, which is collected in Fort Worth, compared to Dallas, DART, which collects a penny from 13 cities, and that's more in the order of about $550 million, I think. So you could see when people say, well, why can't you be like DART? Okay, DART, money, Fort Worth, money. But anyways, funding TEXRail has been really very different from that. I was CEO in Nashville of the Metropolitan Transit Authority and the Regional Transportation Authority of Middle Tennessee. I was very happy, enjoying life, and it helped to start the Music City Star commuter rail, which has worked out very, very well. And then I got interested in Fort Worth because when I talked to the folks in Fort Worth, they said, we have all the local money in the bank. I said, I'm sorry, could you say that again? We have all the local money. We have $500 million, and it's sitting there. Now, how many of you have ever had projects where they said, local money, it's set. All you got to do is a list of other things. And so that was very, very intriguing. So I was very, very happy to say, yes, I'd like to come to Texas. And as so many people say, I got here as fast as I could. So I'm really pleased to be here and so pleased to be a part of this project. We were able to get to this point through really some creative financing. The Council of Governments provided funding. The sales taxes collected in Fort Worth were saved for many, many years. But we also did some creative funding. We have partner cities through which the line I'm talking about today goes through. Both Grapevine and North Richland Hills have contracts and agreements with us that are multi-decades in length, and essentially they have committed the equivalent of 3/8% sales tax for a 40, 50-year period of time. In the case of Grapevine, which we've been collecting that for 10 years, they're at about $90 million. North Richland Hills is just getting started. So there's been some very, very creative financing along the way. A quick timeline, 2013, the board of the Fort Worth Transportation Authority was completely replaced. 2014, I came on board. And then we started a series of events at the end of each year. 2015, we brought together and signed agreements with 5 railroads so that we could have the access to the railroads and use that right-of-way. December 2016, we signed a full funding grant agreement, one of the last ones that has been signed. There have been a couple since, but we were really sweating that. It's a $500 million full funding grant agreement, and we had about $700 million in contracts already signed, but we had letters of no prejudice from FTA. But of course, if this hadn't gotten done, we would have had a problem. And then just last month in December of 2017, we signed our positive train control contract with Wabtec, which is the other really challenging issue. But we've had good progress. We've had a limited notice to proceed with them. They're doing great work. And now that we have the full contract signed, we are on target to meet the requirements for both TEXRail and TRE. It's a combined effort, which is sort of a one-shot time in history to be able to pull these two things together. So we're planning a New Year's Eve train this year. We're going to have some golden tickets, so if anybody wants to come ride, we'll have imitation champagne, no alcohol allowed, of course. And then we'll have revenue service in January. So I say that with great confidence. Everything right now is on schedule. But as you all know who are in this business, anything can happen. But right now, everything is lined up, and we're on target to start in a month. So let me I've got some great slides I just want to go through and show you. And then I'll let it move to the next speaker. But my first slide, this is our train, and I'll start with a quiz. When I was going over the slides, I saw this and I said, well, I'm going to have to change that. Does anybody see anything that's out of place on this train? Anybody? The tarp? Yes. Now, how many people in this room think that one of our employees said, you know, there's some bad weather coming in, I think I'll put a tarp on top of that, just in case. How many really think that that's the case? No, that's not the case. The train was used at the American Public Transportation Association annual meeting in Atlanta. And after that, it was trucked to here to North Texas. And the driver decided to go under a bridge that was about an inch too short. Yes. I'm not sure where that driver is working today. But so I said, well, I'm going to leave that in there because everyone who is in this business, I mean, I know you've never had anything like this happen, but you might be able to identify with it. So Our friends at Denton County are letting us use their facility while Stadler is repairing that damage. And it was just the power car, which is slightly taller than the rest. What we're doing for all the rest of the trains, we're letting BNSF Logistics move all the trains by rail. So we're very confident that the rest will be fine, and we're gonna forget the trucks. But the TEXRail year in review, its construction, 27-mile corridor, more than 1,000 workers are out there. Showing my son the line yesterday, every city we went through, there is dirt flying and activity. This shows the route of the train from downtown Fort Worth to the north side of Fort Worth through North Richland Hills, Grapevine, and then down into Terminal B at DFW Airport. And I'll just take you through the line quickly. This is the Fort Worth, Texas and Pacific Station in downtown Fort Worth, the beginning or the end of the line, depending upon your perspective. This is the actual construction. And our trains, the Stadler train, is a level boarding, so it's very, very friendly for everyone. All of our stations are being adapted. In this case, where TRE also serves it, we'll have a high-level platform and then a standard-level platform. This is our main transit center, which has been referred to earlier, the Intermodal Transportation Center. We're searching for a new name for that because people don't know what ITC stands for. So we're going to do something European Central Station or something, just to make it simpler. And this is the actual platform work in progress. Our biggest engineering challenge really on the whole project, and we have some long bridges and things like that, but what we call the hole in the wall, which is just after you leave the downtown station, it's a whole series of supports for two railroad main lines as well as a highway. And so we've had to do temporary, pretty extensive shoe fly. You can see a train on the shoe fly. And in the end, we'll widen that. We'll add the extra track. And both BNSF and Union Pacific will have brand new bridges out of the project. Peach Yard, we're doing what most modern commuter rail lines are doing when you're built, is when we come to other railroads, we go over them. Eliminates all the issues connected with that. Here's a shot of the new bridge next to the existing bridge over the Trinity River. Here's another shot of that. North Side Station, artist rendering, some of the work going on. Our equipment maintenance facility, we looked at a couple of options for doing this. Initially, we thought we might do it at the same site as the TRE, but it would involve deadhead and disruption to the TRE train. So we picked a really good site right on our main line, and that facility is very close to being dedicated. This is an interior shot. You can see the pits with the tracks not yet installed, and then completing the exterior of the equipment maintenance facility. We're planning a ribbon cutting probably late April, early May on that. Mercantile Center Station, close to the EMF. Work there, you can see the ground being prepared for the station track. Move on to North Richland Hills. We have two stations in North Richland Hills. One is Iron Horse. Once again, you can see the platform. Smithfield Station, work at Smithfield Station. North Richland Hills has a great deal of transit-oriented development that we believe is going to be happening there. We've, of course, improved all of the railroad crossings. This is a road in North Richland Hills. Grapevine Main Street is going to be really a destination. This is only 9 minutes from the airport. It's the wine capital of, well, I probably shouldn't say this, the wine capital of North Texas. And because I know I'm not going to get into that. But this is right in the heart of downtown. If you go to Grape Fest, the station is right at the entrance to the festival. This is progress around the station. There's a shot of our Stadler vehicle, Main Street station site. And then we move on to the DFW Airport North Station. We anticipate a great deal of transit-oriented development there. This is some progress there, preparing the right-of-way. This is North Airfield Drive, another overpass. And then the Terminal B station, this is a great partnership with DFW Airport, just as they did with DART. They're building the station. We're responsible, of course, for all the transportation infrastructure. And then here's some actual construction. Nice shot of a plane in the background, retaining walls, and a couple of slides on what happened. This is a shot of the train at the APTA conference in Atlanta. It was hugely popular. You couldn't even get up and down the aisle of the Stadler train. It was so popular. We were real happy with that. And this is when the local freight delivered some of the first cars into Grapevine. These are ones that came directly from Salt Lake City, which is the assembly point for the Stadler. They came by BNSF Logistics, so they were safe and sound and got here just fine, unlike the trucked unit that came up from Atlanta. So what's next? Second train set will be in shortly. Testing begins in March, late March, early April. Equipment maintenance facility, completing bridges. We have a historic bridge we're going to relocate to a park, and service is slated to begin at the end of the year. So thank you very much. I'll be around. I'll be happy to answer some questions after the other speakers.